Autumn is a season of intense changes. It's a time to focus on adapting and preparing ourselves for the coming winter, and even the spring beyond. The week that we got the piglets was a hectic one, and the weeds in the garden saw that as an opportunity to come out in force. We set up the polytunnel over a few days, and now we have a new working space, which is a huge part of our plans to grow more food. The only problem with it is that the door covering was missing, though customer service has promised to send us a new one. Now that the summer garden is almost finished, we thought that it's time to give a summary of our experiences.
Talking a bit about the garden, there were 3 problems that we had with this garden that we can actually improve on next year. Our garden this year was a bit of a trial run, really just seeing kind of what the growing conditions are like, and we definitely did find that out, and hopefully we can use all this knowledge that we gained this year in the other garden that we're setting up in the olive grove. I just wanted to kind of talk a bit about the experiences this year. So first of all would be our experience with different beds. I said in an earlier video that we had a few different systems, one of them being like, for example, roof stout. I wanted to try some lasagna gardening and also like just deep mulch beds. I can say now that beds where we actually really dug down, flipped the soil and then loosened it up with the pitchfork, those are the beds that performed the best. And what also worked quite well is lasagna gardening. Like we kind of did a bit of an adaptation of that where we put a bit of straw on and then a bit of soil on top of then some more straw, and then we plant into the bit of topsoil. So the roots can still reach down into the normal soil, but they have a bit more sustenance coming from the fresh compost that we put on top of there. Big problem in our garden here was just the fact that we are operating on a shoestring budget here. So we don't have the money to bring in loads of bagged soil, like loads of compost. You can't go to a municipal composting facility. It doesn't exist here. So we kind of have to work with what we got. We have to amend the soil over years to achieve optimal conditions for growing. The pumpkins didn't come up, like all the heavy feeders performed in mixed ways. The tomatoes didn't perform well this year, but they did give us some fruit, so we're not too stressed about this. It was really nice, but it wasn't as much as we thought it would be. So next year we're going to grow some in the polytunnel because we heard that's better here. And we're still going to put some out, but hopefully in the olive grove where there's more shade, they will not burn and suffer so much in the heat. The second big failure that we had was the potatoes, and that was the most disappointing one probably. You might have seen the potato field in our second video that we ever posted. It was up in the olive grove. We spent days hoeing up the ground and like digging down to loosen up the soil a bit. And then we did a bit of root stout and a bit of like the traditional mound system. And they came up really well. There was loads of green. And then in June, they just died. And when we pulled it up, there were, I think, maybe 4 potatoes in the entire field. We sown out 50, we put 50 seed potatoes in the ground just to try it out. And we got like 4 tiny potatoes from this entire field. It was just demoralizing at that point. We'd put so much water onto this, like, and so much care into weeding that patch, and it just didn't give us anything. So next year we're gonna try it in the way that some people have suggested here that the Portuguese do, like literally just throw them into a ditch and like don't do anything with them. So we're gonna give that a try next year. Try again and again, see how we can get some potatoes, because they're a really good calorie crop for us. The last problem would be that until July, we were exclusively watering with rainwater. So we really had to decide what lives and dies. It's not ideal. A lot of the stuff that we grew, like for example, the courgettes and the tomatoes, need a lot of water. And we actually pulled up the courgettes in July because they were just flowering, but they never developed any fruit. And then you have to kind of decide, will you keep watering and just hope that something comes out, or will you pull them up and just try again next year? Now the situation has improved because we can pump up from the valley. It's also been raining again. So everything has performed a lot better than it did in spring and summer, because now we can finally throw that water at it. Obviously, we're still trying to conserve water. When the days are more than 30 degrees, we water every day. When it's like 25 degrees during the daytime, we water every second day. We just check if the soil is still moist. But yeah, I hope that will not be a problem next year. And I think we've solved that issue for now. So we shouldn't have a repeat of that. In the grand scheme of things, not everything was a failure. In spring, we were sowing some, I don't know how they're called, green beans, like climbing beans. They just never really came up. They flowered, but there was no fruit in them. It was probably the clay soil, maybe not enough nutrients available to them in the soil. We did some bush beans in July, which did really, really well. They performed extremely well. And although the plants look terrible right now, they're still giving us quite a lot of beans, so I'm not unhappy with them. What performed the best, like hands down, has been radishes. And right now I'm letting some radishes go to seed. They are a French breakfast variety, I think. And I've sown them all around the garden now. We love radishes and potato salad. So that's definitely good to go year round here, basically. What has done really, really well is marigolds. I'm gonna try and dye some fabric with them. I'm really happy with how they turned out. They just keep on giving. I kind of thought they would die off quite early in the year, but like the more I picked flower heads off to dry and preserve, the more they exploded. And they have been giving me flowers since I think May maybe, and now it's October. It's an incredible flower. I will grow again next year. I saved a lot of seed from the nicest ones, and I'll put them everywhere basically. I think they also really worked as a protective species with the tomatoes. We didn't have any problems with pests with the tomatoes. It was really the heat that seemed to be the problem and the lack of nutrients in the ground. So that seems to have worked in conjunction with onions and garlic. Didn't have any pests. We'll repeat that, and I'll see how the dye comes out from these. I've heard really promising things. Another good thing is the peanuts. Obviously we don't know yet because I haven't pulled them up, but they've been really healthy the entire summer. They've grown incredibly. I think they're going to give us some peanuts when we finally pull them up. So far they're still really green, so we just keep on watering them and see when they will turn. Like, they've been shaded by the oak tree for half the day. Those beds in general have performed better than the full sun beds. Behind me are our two new pigs that arrived really late last night. It was a bit of an experience. These are our two Bísaro pigs that we received about 10 minutes ago. And our ingenious fence system that we designed and researched for weeks has failed us already within the first 5 minutes of them being here. As soon as they arrived, basically they escaped from the electric fence. Zach pulled a bit of a late night shift last night and adjusted the fence and perfected it. So today they got used to being zapped and now they're staying clear of it. I just wanted to talk a bit about the kind of pig breed that we got here. The pig breed that we decided to go for in the end is called Bísaro. It's a traditional Portuguese breed from the central and northern region actually. So it is from here. It is an old Celtic breed as well. It kind of got a bit out of fashion because it's a very slow growing breed. It's not very interesting to the normal pig farmer who has to have a high yield. But they're perfect for us because we don't want to have a fast growing pig here that needs loads and loads of feed every day. They're really good foragers and we want to encourage that. We spread some acorns around, but we have a whole oak forest here that they will go through slowly, bit by bit. So they should be fine for feed. We don't really want to feed them a lot of additional food from the store. That's why it's good to have a pig that can kind of take care of itself. The main point of getting pigs in the first place was to be able to clear land without much effort from our side. Obviously we could do it probably a lot quicker with a brush cutter and a strimmer, but that takes work time from our side. It takes a lot of fuel as well, and that makes it very inefficient in terms of our labor and also in terms of cost of fuel. And it's bad for the environment. The pigs are a bit better in CO2 emissions. We hope, at least. I haven't researched that quite so deeply, but it is the traditional way of how things were done here. And obviously they will root everything up, which is not something that the strimmer can do. We can't till soil with the strimmer. We decided to go for this Bísaro breed because it seems to be quite fitting for our needs. Also, I have to say that they are not purebred as far as we understood the seller. Enough for us, basically. Another word about the setup, we're using a poultry fence, which happens to be not good for our poultry. Our chickens escape quite easily from it, but it's perfect for the pigs so far. And yeah, like a super simple electric fence setup that is quite mobile because we want to move them around the land a lot in the next few months, years. This poultry fence allows us to be quite flexible. We just have to be really careful with the maintenance. Make sure that we trim the area around where we want to run the fence beforehand before we actually put the pigs on, because any leaf of grass that touches the fence can lower the voltage. So quite busy checking the fence every single day.